I forgot your computer is real slow.
Right. I was hoping you would go ahead and take it off there.
Yeah, I saw that. I got it.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Let me see if I can get somebody else backstage. Okay.
Yeah, I got him. I can do that for you.
Okay. How y'all doing this morning?
Wonderful yourself.
Awesome. We are so glad to have y'all here with us so y'all can tell the world about what's going on, so we can get y'all grievances aired out so that the court of public opinion can be with or against y'all. So we're going to see. But good evening. Welcome to the Watch Dawgs. I'm Julius Hall, and my co-host there is Dr. Robert Bryant. And all know the good
Andy, is that your TV?
Yeah, somebody got that TV on.
Cut it off.
Sound like they got a rally going on right now.
This is a rally. A rally for us.
All right. That's what we need, a rally for y'all. That's what we need.
That's right.
Yeah. I forgot about the call, man.
Oh, yeah. So folks might call in on this one.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're going to get started. We welcome all of y'all. And y'all don't need no introduction because everybody know who y'all are.
Oh, they will after
well, they don't know. They don't know. They will know.
Oh, no.
And your names are right there. Let me see. I got everybody because I had to stroll down to the bottom to bring. But y'all keep going. Mr. Blake, keep going out. Okay, that's him going out on his own. Okay.
Yeah, I had to come. I'm back.
All right. So we have the school board bus drivers and monitors and representatives here today. And y'all went on a strike last week. And y'all missed a couple of days, and y'all went back to work on Wednesday or something, Wednesday or Thursday. And we just want to hear what you all got to say. See what the grievances is that y'all have. We have some questions for y'all, but to air it out, whoever want to start, Rob, you can take the first question and give it to them. I win one.
So I'll start. I guess it will be helpful for me and the viewers is to understand, how in y'all's opinion, how did we get here? What's some of the history behind it, and what prompted I guess we'll call it a strike.
That's a very easy question to answer, and I can tell you right now, this culminated in 2016 when the board took transportation back in house.
Mm.
There was no consideration to the drivers, the monitors, any of the transportation staff about what we were going to be experiencing in that very near future. What they actually did was ushered in a culture shock. Okay. Let me tell you one of the first things that happened when the board took over. Immediately, day one, we began losing. The first thing that we lost was our seniority, That meant a lot to to a lot of the drivers that were there, because we had drivers that were there for 20, 25 years, even more than that. And the only thing that they had to show for it was their seniority. When the board came in, seniority was not top of their priority. And so what they basically did was took away all of those years, all of that pride, and said, hey, everybody now is on the same playing field. Okay. The next thing that happened was we lost, what's the word I'm looking for? We lost consistency.
Mm.
We lost the ability to be paid every week. We understood exactly what we were doing. When we did the work, we saw it on the paycheck. The check stubs were very readable, understandable. You didn't need a degree to understand what was going on. You knew exactly what it was. It was whatever they put in your check, it was on the check stub. Whatever they took out of your check was on the check stub. It was even so much that they would even break down what you were paid for. If you were doing yard work, it stated you got this amount of hours for yard work. If you did field trips, it said you got this amount of hours for field trips. So there were no hidden formulas that we didn't understand. It was very clear. The other thing that we lost was the ability that if they made a mistake on your check, you would be able to, by lunchtime, get that mistake corrected. In the current form that we have, we don't get check stubs that are very clear. We don't have a very clear understanding of the pay system. And if they make a mistake on your check, you now have to wait until the next pay cycle to get that mistake corrected. And that's if it's on their mistake, if that's on their part. So, I mean, you lost a lot of stability and consistency. You lost, and when you do that, and people don't understand where the money is coming from, when the pay period has changed drastically, and the way that you live has to change, you basically ushered in a culture shock. And because of that culture shock, we've lost many people. All right. The next thing that happened is, okay, this all happened without consideration for the drivers. They didn't discuss this. They didn't prepare us for any of this stuff. They just said, here, this is what we want you to do. Okay. Now, we understand that because they got a job to do. So they had a meeting. I remember it very vividly. We were at New Hampstead High School. Auditorium was packed with transportation staff. When we voiced our opinions or concerns about the system that they were bringing us into, Dr. Levette, or Miss Kegler, she always said, she said it then and she's saying it now, always says that her phone line is open and you can talk to her about anything. When we told her about our concerns, her response to us was, take it or leave it.
What?
Okay. To further add insult to that situation, the then superintendent, Dr. Lockamy, got up right after she said that and said the same exact phrase, take it or leave it. If you don't like it, find another job. They were in good position then to say that because they had close to 400 drivers. We had drivers that you would call bench drivers that would actually come into work, clock in, sit in the break room and wait for a route to come open. We don't have that luxury anymore. A lot of people did exactly what Ms. Kagler and Dr. Lockamy suggested, and that was find something else. Now, was it fair? No, because a lot of people love their jobs, but when you're put in a situation where you feel hopeless, when you've given your honest opinion and your concerns about what's going on, and those opinions and concerns aren't given any footing, if you don't love your job enough to stay, if you aren't committed enough to stay and do what you love, then you find something else. Because sometimes it's not even about if you love doing it, it's about if you can afford to do it. When you're dealing with that,
and it's an issue with value. So y'all probably feel either valued or not valued at all.
Exactly. And so, but you know, and I know I'm talking a lot, but we got a lot to unpack. And so when you say take it or leave it, right? And you go on about your schedule, you do the job that you do, and you consistently bring up these concerns. I'm gonna tell you right now, the reason that they're behind the ball is because they took on that attitude for probably the first 1.5 to 2 years of take it or leave it. It was only when the numbers started dwindling so much that there began to be a real big issue with a shortage of drivers. We still haven't reached pandemic yet. I just want you to understand that. We have not reached the coronavirus pandemic at this point. This is still around 2016, 2017, when we lost over 200 drivers. Because we're right now, what they're reporting is 245 drivers. I don't necessarily believe that that's an accurate number, but even if it is an accurate number, it's far less than 400. And the question from the community needs to be, under this leadership, what is the issue? What is the problem? And you can't hide it behind this. We're just at this point. Again, we haven't discussed coronavirus. We haven't discussed that yet. These are all issues that were happening before coronavirus. Okay? And so they didn't deal with the issue. They didn't listen to the driver's concern, the monitor's concern. But they will always tell you in a meeting that they value the transportation staff. They value what you do. We have open ears and we will always listen to you. But at some point, listening isn't enough. If for the past 4 years, all you did was listen, you failed not only the transportation staff, but the families of Chatham County. And the community should be asking for someone's head right now. Because as you know, they don't have issues on 208 Bull Street with their finances. Understand that very clearly. There are some high-paying jobs in 208 Bull Street. So finances to them is not an issue. And so that's why it's irreprehensible that you can make a statement to a group of people that we're working on it and feel like that's sufficient enough of an answer. And so for the community, they need to understand that this stand-up was not to make the Chatham County uncomfortable, but it was to make the leaders that they elected to service our families uncomfortable enough to move. But I will tell you this, what that stand-up did, it did cause them to move. Because I'm gonna tell you what, we went back to work Wednesday. That same day, field trips were taken away from people that participated. They did random tapes, supposedly random tapes, but most of the tapes that they pulled were from people that participated in the stand-up. And so you mean to tell me that in one day of us returning back to work, you were able to come up with a movement to chastise people for standing up for basic rights? But in 4 and 5 years, you've not been able to come up with something to deal with the issues that we've been coming to you about. And now you want to make it seem like everything that we're saying is just happening. This is a culmination of 4 to 5 years of saying the same thing through emails, through text, through phone calls, and through board meetings. Nothing that we said is new, is brand new. This thing has been reiterated time and time again
So
to no
Kendrick,
avail.
so is where are we now? Are y'all have y'all come to an agreement? Because the news was reporting that y'all came to agreement.
Lies. All lies.
No, I will tell you what happened. WTOC called me and asked me what happened. And I told them that the union and the board had a conversation. Because as you know, I'm no longer a union steward. I was kicked out of the Teamsters Local 728 for standing with my coworkers. And so I told her that they had a conversation and they came up with an agreement because I was informed from the officials at the Teamsters that they had talked and they came up with an 800 number that they can call, that we can call in case there's an infraction with the COVID protocols on the buses. And then the last thing that they worked out is we're working on the payroll system. And so that was not saying that the drivers came to an agreement, because the drivers never were represented. They never came to us. They never came to anybody that was out standing up to wonder, what could we do to move this thing forward? That was never addressed. They talked to the union representatives that represented the people that are union members. Okay, but our transportation department is made up of both union members and non-union members. And a lot of people were upset at that statement because they said that the union didn't even speak to them. So how could they bargain in concert without even speaking to the drivers? And so that statement was misrepresented.
So there has been no movement, but they are saying that they got this phrase they use. What is it? We working on it,
Yes, sir.
Kind of like a mutual agreement.
and but they're not working on it with y'all.
No,
Right.
No.
let
me tell you something.
That way of getting us out the way.
And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. With that whole situation, right? At that board meeting on September 8th, and I'm not saying this because she's your wife, but Miss Howard Hall, was literally scalded at by Joe Buck by saying we need to let the drivers know that we care about you, that we're concerned about you. He literally turned to her and said, in due respect, I find it hard to listen when our kids are on the street.
Yep.
And so that immediately led me to wonder what was wrong with his ears when we were picking the kids up.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 or 3 runs.
And then that's the other thing. They in that meeting, they were pretty much like giving each other high five, like, because hey, we got it done, and these people, we offered them the incentives, and they came and they did all of this work. But my question to the community is, and to transportation staff, they did it for 2 days. We've been doing it for years. Where was our applause? Where was our incentives for doing extra routes?
Yeah, because they used coaches, teachers, and mechanics, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And they gave them $50 an hour, time and a half.
Wow. What you say, Shariko?
Yeah, can I interject there? Thank you for letting us come on, because I sat up till about 3 o'clock this morning watching the board meeting, both almost the 2-hour, then almost the hour one, and to hear what our school board president had spoken and said. it's hard for him to hear what we have to say. I find it kind of hard. And as I've been talking with management, I have been going back and forth with management with drivers and monitors' concerns as it relates to the pay, as it relates to retirement, as it relates to everything that surrounds a healthy environment. I do feel that they have created an hostile work environment, as Mr. Banks has stated, that this has been a fight since the board has taken over. And the only thing that they have used and said was, we're working on it. We're working on it since 2016 is unacceptable. I believe that the reason for the drivers and monitors standing up last Friday was because they had enough of hearing we're working on it. They needed to hear some sound doctrine. We hear this in church, we hear it in our families. We need to hear exactly what is it going to take to make this transportation department run smoothly. Yesterday, I had a meeting with management again before getting on my bus because I was one who field trip was taken because I called out on Friday and what was that, Tuesday?
Monday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Okay,
Friday,
but I never
Friday,
got a
Tuesday.
call. I never got a call from management or the field trip coordinator to say, "Hey, Mr. Green, your field trip has been canceled." And I think the main problem with the board is the lack of communication. And to sum it up, I think that they misled the board members to believe that the drivers are acting irrational. I think that they have misled the community to feel that drivers and monitors are asking for something that is astronomical and out of their reach. I believe that in a negotiation, all parties must come to an agreement. When one of the representatives on the board asked them a question about the local union, they specifically said that there is no contract between
That's what he said.
Teamsters and the drivers. So if there is no contract with them, I feel, and from what I've heard and what I've gathered from all of the drivers on that Friday, when they called out, if Dr. Levesque or one of the board members or Ms. Kegler, somebody would have came out there, talked to them to hear their concerns and begin to not just hear, but give some concrete um, resolution. Even if you don't have something, say, okay, well, can we meet at this day and time? We don't have to meet because of COVID face to face. We meet on what that thing is called, Teams.
Zoom.
It's some
Teams.
Zoom call. We could have
Microsoft.
all met on the Zoom call, but when we were asked, when Mr. Blake asked Ms. Kegler, could we come in along with the union to voice our concerns? Because there are people who are a part of the union who is not contracted by the board, not contracted. So why are they speaking on behalf of the entire transportation department? They cannot speak for the entire transportation department because one, they're not hearing. I felt that um, watching um, one of the parents, I believe it was one of the parents, when she asked for their resignation, and she said that next year there are going to be quite a few seats that are going to be vacant. What I would say as a pastor in the city and as a citizen born and raised in Savannah, Georgia, that our community need to hear that you need to get out and vote. When we don't get out and vote, this is what happens. We get these type of people who are controlling, who are bigots, who want to control us, and they're going to put us back in cages like we're monkeys and we are on a show. We are not. We want to be felt like we want to be treated like you want us to treat you. You want us to give you the respect? Give us the respect. I can speak candidly about my bus. I've had students, I got a parent who said, I can't call names, they don't believe in children wearing masks. So they're not going to make their child wear a mask. But the board never hears this. But management say, well, tell your supervisor will get in touch with the principal. The student's supposed to be put off the bus. Student was never put off the bus. So now you have people like Ms. Ben Levy. You have people like
Marquise
Johnson. You have people who I can't call all of their names, who have passed because of COVID, catching COVID on the bus. I can speak because I was in this position last year, and it was by God's grace that I made it out. COVID attacked both of my kidneys. It attacked my breathing. I was hospitalized for days. Didn't know whether or not I was going to make it out or see another day, see my family, see my son, see my nephews. I didn't know if I was going to see anybody. But God kept me. He covered me. And the thing that get me is they say, give them another chance. Who's going to give the drivers and monitors another chance once we contract it and can't get rid of it?
Can't get rid of it, right?
Who's going to give us, our family, another chance when the board won't even send a flower to the bereaving family who has died in transportation? I can go back to Miss, she was a part of the school. Help me, Mr. Banks. Miss Daniels. We went there. I went there, and we personally looked to see if the board sent anything. There was nothing. There was nothing. So it's as if you're taking from us and you want us to give so much. And don't get us wrong. And I felt that the president was not listening. And for the comment that he made, he created a hostile work environment. He created a people who resent coming to work. First of all, let's be transparent and tell the truth that we're going to record. Let's tell how you got them coaches, those teachers, and those other workers to work. You gave them $50 an hour to come out and work and ride and drive those buses to take the kids home. They still didn't get all of the kids home in time, but they want to pretend that all of the students got home on time. They want to pretend that all students got picked up, and that was not the truth because they told, send them back home. Send them back home. Because
don't pick them up.
Mr. Green, I hear you, and I agree with all of what you said, because it does start with who you put in those seats that care. And when there was no questions, I was watching it also, and I know that my wife, if out of all the elected officials in this entire county, I ain't just talking about the school board, city, every municipality in this whole county. One person I know, and I ain't just saying it because it's my wife, that goes to work to and understands that her job is to take care of those students or to take care of the people that put her there, it's my wife. She has a heart and she understands. She was one of those people at 208 Bull Street. She retired early. She was making over $100,000 a year. She retired. So she understands that how it functions up here and down here, because she has been there. She knows what you all are feeling. So she hears y'all, the grievances that y'all put forward, and she wants to help. But it takes other people with kahunas.
Right.
And
that's what I was getting at, because she stood up for us in that meeting. But he, as being the president of the Board of Education, attacked her in the public view. And I felt that as a chief operating officer, you should never let your horns be seen, even if you don't want people to know how you really felt. And I felt that when he spoke, he was letting drivers and monitors, the community know that he don't give a flip about nothing but what his agenda is.
Correct.
And
That's what it's
Edward
been all
was
along,
saying,
though.
what it sounds like, and I hope I'm wrong in that the education of a child, a student learning process involves everyone from what the work you all do to making sure the facilities are clean to making sure we have adequate teachers that provide education. So everyone has a stake in this process of student learning. And if what I'm hearing is, the fact, we're missing the boat here. And if the school board is that involved, I'm concerned. School board's role is not to be that intricately involved in the day-to-day working of some of the things that I'm hearing. And so, yeah, Houston, we got a problem.
And one of the other problems when we look at the pay, and I respect Mr. I think his name is Ramon, am I correct?
Yeah,
Ramon
Okay,
Ray.
and how he was trying to explain the pay. And I'm glad he came back and rebutted and recant, but I don't think that the board heard
right.
exactly what he said. There are times that will be missed. And I feel just like I told management, I'm on both sides. I'm standing in the middle. I'm trying to bring about peace between both the board and both drivers and monitors. But it's hard to be able to say that you are listening to what the drivers are saying when they can't see what they make. If the week starts Monday through Friday, we go to work, you should be paid from Monday through Friday. Not saying, oh, well, we're going to cut it off. The cutoff day is on the 15th. So that means the 11th is going to be the real official cutoff date. So whatever is on that check comes from the 31st through the 10th. Then that takes away the 80 hours that the driver actually made, the overtime that the driver actually made. And you're saying that it goes on the next check. I expressed to management, I have been an 8-hour driver since they asked me to come back. I've been an 8-hour driver, and I know they made remarks about one of the drivers coming in the meeting and stating that the pay was great. The pay is not great for everybody.
It's
Nope.
not great.
What is
Nope.
great is it's great for people who are new, who are coming in, who do not know what is what is going on with the board. When
Mm-hmm.
you got people who's coming in, and I think he did use the analogy of making 1863 an hour versus those who started making $13 or $15 an hour, and now they're at 20. Those people who are coming in are now on their trail. You don't really give the step of increase that the years of experience, I would say, that they use, that compensate that driver for the time that they have been doing it. Most drivers are not driving the school bus because it's just a paycheck. They love what they do. They love servicing their community. We don't want the community to feel that we are being biased or uh, uh, retaliating out of anger, or well, we are retaliating out of anger. We don't want them to feel like we're doing it for malicious reasons. But what we want them to understand is that when will enough be enough? The Bible even tells us when the Israelites kept marching around the same mountain for 40 years, when will enough be enough? When will enough when the board will say, okay, I'm gonna sit down and we're gonna hash this out between the drivers and
Sound like your
the
mic went
board?
out.
Oh,
Okay.
there it is.
When we're going to sit down and come to an agreement, we can all agree to disagree. But I felt that the way they portrayed, because of the drivers and monitors standing up for what they felt was right, they tried to use it as a tactic against those who did. They took away their field trip. They took away their extra work. They took away stuff, and now you pulling tapes
Chairs in the
trying to
break room.
see and hear what the drivers and monitors are talking about. You pulling tapes to see what's going on. Let's not even add now in the break room, you chain up chairs. Now on Gamba Road, where there was no cameras, you have placed, was it look like 4-headed cameras, 5-headed cameras to zoom in to be right in the spot where the protest was.
Yeah.
All in
And
one
when
day.
you talk to them,
And
and
so,
when they come, huh?
hold on.
I said
So,
all of that happened in
what
one day.
so let me ask y'all this. I'm hearing a lot of things that leads me to this question. What are some of the demands that align with the strike? So it's good to protest and stand up for what you believe in. What are some of the list of demands? So one I'm hearing, and I want to hear more from you all, but it sounds like it definitely needs to be a criteria for compensation, driver compensation. Because I totally agree with you on that. That should be a criteria. But what are some the list of demands that y'all are taking forward that will accompany the strike?
Well, one of the things that
No,
I
one of
gave
them
you on the
was
list was about the pay. That
Was
pay
the pay.
schedule, and Mr. Ramon explained that they're operating out of some kind of ancient system. I
40
believe
years
that
old.
it, just like one of the board members said, can y'all look into what is going on in another district and find out what is working for them and how they're paying their employees, and use that over here so that the drivers and monitors will be satisfied. Can they call back MV, who they have badly damaged, and say, how did y'all handle y'all pay? What pay system did y'all use? Go
Yeah.
ahead, Mr.
And
Davis.
not only that, and like I said, it was egregious how they kind of bashed everything that we were standing for. And Mr. Hall, I apologize on behalf of the drivers and staff in transportation, the monitors and everybody for how Mr. Buck treated her. That was very unfair for him to say, "How dare
Come
you
back to him.
care about the drivers?" Because right now they're not doing what we want them to do. They're not out there picking up them kids. And so for you to say care about them, he said with no all due with no disrespect. But you can't disrespect somebody and then put that tagline on it, because disrespect is disrespect. My thing is, we talked to them about the once again, one of the other issues. He talked about the finance. We've been dealing with that from the very beginning. One of the other things that we were talking about came up because they were asking about recruiting. And one of the things that I said, that if you want people to with longevity and you want a good quality of people, you have to give them something to look forward to. And when you look at the current situation with our retirement, it's not that pretty. Okay. They laughed and said that it was, comical, because they told us that they were not in charge of deciding who was under teachers' retirement and who wasn't. All I know is that in the past, when they had it before, the drivers and monitors were under teachers' retirement. At some point, they changed that. Okay, if it's not up to you who's under teachers' retirement and public school retirement, have you spoken on behalf of the people that do make the decision for the staff that you can't seem to keep on the buses? So don't laugh and say that we told it this is out of our control. Was it out of your control to change it from the original state? That's what we're trying to say. So the retirement is the one thing. And then the other thing is, and we want the community to know this, because Ms. Kegler sat back in her chair and she laughed and said, we told them that we would give them classes to explain to them about, the pay and all of that. But that was a false. She misled the community, because I'm going to tell you what she offered us. Because when they first took over, they gave us classes about the pay system. They did a whole segment about the pay system and all of that. The issue was the information that they was giving us wasn't making sense with what we were bringing in. Okay. And so then what they offered us was this. This is what we got offended at. She said, well, we can offer you guys classes on how to manage your money. Now that was offensive. Yes, that was offensive, because we can manage our money, but what we cannot manage is the discrepancy within the pay cycle. That is what we can't manage. And if you look at that board meeting, they danced around the financial part. They danced around that. They didn't stay on that too long. And just for and to prove our point, I don't know the lady's name that's on the board. She's an African American lady with the dreads.
Deion Hoskins Brown.
Nah.
Okay, her. She had an issue trying to figure out to pay herself. And so, what job have you gone to? Have you ever had that you didn't understand how you got paid, where you couldn't read your check stub?
I think that's a lot
And
of the miscommunication with the community as well. I feel like
add on to that too, management told the drivers and monitors, and I think that this is what the community needs to hear, that if you don't like what you're being paid or your job, go find another one.
Go find another.
Okay.
That's
what you was about to say, Demetrius? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, Leah. What you was going to say?
I was about to say, I think that is where the miscommunication is with the community, because I've been reading a lot of comments and from the community and like the different WTOCs, WSFVs, and a lot of the community is saying, what do they expect to be paid as a driver? And I think the communication needs to change from what do we expect to get paid to them understanding that we're not, whatever we're supposed to be getting paid, we're not getting it. So it's not a dollar amount that we're expecting to get paid, but it's what we signed up for, we're not getting. So if we're supposed to be getting paid $15 an hour and we're working 40 hours a week, we expect to see those 40 hours a week on our paycheck. So I don't think the community understands that that is what the issue is. How can you manage a check and you're supposed to be bringing in 40 hours or 80 hours on a check, but you're only bringing in half of it? And when you're asking for some clarity, they're trying to make it seem like, oh, y'all can't manage your money. But if you ask payroll at transportation, you get several different answers. If you ask payroll at 208, because they've sent them to us as well, you get several different answers. So if there's so many different formulas to figuring out one answer, somebody don't know how to explain it. It's not that we don't know it. It's just it's a miscommunication all the way around. But at the end of the day, the community needs to understand that we're not asking for something that is not due to us.
Correct. And it needs to be simplified. It needs to be simplified. What were you saying, Leah?
Nothing.
Oh, because you and I had a talk earlier before we came on the air, Leah, and and it needs to be said. You all need to be treated with respect. I understand that people are a little frustrated that their kids might have been left and nobody showed up to get them, but that's part of what the protest is. There are consequences to everything that we do. And they have to look at you. They're looking at you all like y'all are third-class citizens. Y'all really don't matter. Like we really don't need you. And that has to change. And it has to change. And I see a young lady on here, and she said she's in Liberty County, and something needs to be done where they're talking to you all and listening. My wife had it dead right. We have to listen to the people. These people take our kids to and from school every day. Y'all won't have a job if the kids don't show up. There's no need for you all to be here. And when they start to understand that, it's just like working at a big cereal company and you one of the executives upstairs and you don't have anybody to make the cereal, you can't get paid because there's no product for you to get paid from. People got to start realizing just because you're all right, don't mean that everybody else below you is all right.
Well, and to add to that, Julius, I think the problem is too. You hit the nail on the head. Is that these are professionals as well. These are professionals who have lives in their hands, who have to deal with behavior problems, who deal with the same things teachers deal with, and operate a machine to get these kids through. So they need to be treated and viewed as professionals, and their pay should reflect that. And if
Yeah.
that's not the case, then I question the school board about what the hell are you there for?
I mean, how hard is it for you to say, okay, I'm just going to cut you a paper check? It says, and this is what you got paid. These are the taxes that's getting taken out. This is the Social Security that's getting taken out. This is the insurance that's getting taken out. This is the garnishment that's getting taken out. Here's your check.
They don't care. They don't care. That's
If
that's
a
what
They
it
person
don't.
boils
can't
They
down to. They
don't.
understand
don't
their
care.
check, you're not going to have a happy workforce if you can't understand your check. That's what
And
they go to work
They
for,
don't
a
care.
check. And how's you know what makes me so angry about it though is that uh, and you have to throw this in there because Dr. Lockamy was there for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't give a damn about y'all. He didn't give a
Mm-mm.
damn about nobody really. Um, and when now we got Dr. Levette, and we want Dr. Levette to have a heart. You know, Dr.
She
Levette
don't
is a
care
friend.
neither.
She's a friend. I love Dr. Levette. But you have to
But
be able to
she needs
listen.
to be more
This show
transparent
here,
as
we
well.
call everybody out who needs to have an ear to what the public is saying. This isn't about the one of us, it's about the whole of us.
Wow.
And that issue with the check, with y'all check, could have been solved by a first grader. If the people in payroll can't get it right, fire all their asses.
Right.
Fire.
Start
They
with
don't
them.
care.
Okay.
Their
Start with them.
solution.
and,
Their
and, and,
solution
and
is
In the
to throw out
sentence.
some more
what I'm
money to
gonna
try to come
add
out
to that
more.
too.
If
What I'm gonna add to
Ramon
that
Ray
too.
can't goddamn count, he need to go.
What
They
I
don't
was gonna
care.
add to that too, Ms. Paul, was if you paid attention to what they said on was that Wednesday meeting, that if the drivers and monitors struck out again, do y'all have a plan? They was happy to say
Yeah,
yes, but
yeah.
they're not telling the board or the community, the ones who are paying the tax dollars, that they're paying these people $50 an hour to go drive on. Who wouldn't get out the school system? You making more money driving the school bus than teaching in the classroom. You going out here to go there, you only going to do it for a few hours. But what about those who have sacrificed since you took over since 2016 and
Mm-hmm.
nothing has been done with their pay? If you can sacrifice for 2 days to increase their pay,
You
what
can do it
happened?
for us.
Why you couldn't sacrifice to make it happen for those who do it on a daily basis?
They
And I
You
don't
but
thank
you
you.
care.
I don't know your name. How you said teachers teach inside of a classroom. We deal with more than just classroom behavior on the bus. We're handling a commercial vehicle. Yes, they may have went to school for 4 years. We had to go through a training that certified us as well to be certified professional drivers. And it should be seen as the same, not differentiating, oh, well, I'm going to leave that there. But it should be viewed as the same, because we have to make sure that we're watching out for drunk drivers. We're watching out for people who swerving into the bus.
Slamming on
Anything
brake.
that can happen to deteriorate and cause more damage to the infrastructure of the safety of the students as well as the drivers.
They don't
That's
care.
correct.
I can't keep saying that.
Yeah,
If they can afford to pay them for 2 days that much, I do 3 routes every day.
right.
Every
exactly. We
day.
even get
But
So
they
calls
you
didn't
about
mean to
it.
tell
tell me
us. They didn't.
I can do my route and somebody else's route and not get paid for it, but you can pay the bus driver, you can pay the coaches and all these other people for helping you out one day?
For
Right.
doing one route.
They don't care.
We
Yeah.
do
Let me
5
tell
They
you
don't
something.
care.
One route.
Let me tell you something. The fuel for any system that's broken is silence. When we were standing out there, we got texts, emails, teachers, parents, administrators saying thank you for standing up finally. We even had somebody from the maintenance department to drive over in his van and say, "You guys got more cojones than we do."
You guys got more.
And therein lies the problem.
And that's
There were
sad.
drivers on the bus that feel the same way that we felt. And I understand everybody's situation, but we're living in a generation where everybody's willing to sacrifice as long as
So
it's
what they want to.
comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think Chuck got it right here. I think
sacrifice is never
It's never
comfortable.
comfortable.
I think Chuck got it right here, y'all. If this is a part of it, I think will really make a bang for your buck. When you impact people's dollars, they start listening. Chuck said, "I think we should
You
all
better,
put in no bonus or splost."
you better
Now,
tell them.
you drive that to the board, I guarantee you they'll listen to you. If they feel
Well,
like
then,
you all are coordinating an effort to shut down that splost, all
And,
ears.
and it's a systematic thing in government for some reason. Um, take the trash workers, the garbage workers that pick up our trash every day. When you really look at it, they're the most important workers that is there. Just like you all are the most important workers at the board, but you're not looked at it like that. They have rings and levels that they have everybody on, and they pay the trash men the less out of everybody almost. But they're the most important because if your trash don't go from out to the dump, what's going to happen? The whole neighborhood is going to be stinking.
It's gonna
Everybody's
be stinking.
way of living is affected by it. And what they have to do is start looking, especially when you put people in office, you have to get people that care about what you say, not just a friend, not just somebody who sounds good, but somebody who really care and gonna tell you what they're gonna do and gonna do it. And that's part of what it all is. And then they have to hire people that here also. I understand to some degree that Dr. Levette has to do what she has to do to please the board, but the board can't interfere with her daily job.
yeah.
And that's
They can check her at some point.
And
Um,
can I add this too? Because I think that this is something that the community did not pay attention to. I may have misheard. Savannah Classical, and they stated it in the meeting that per each student, they charge Savannah Classical $500 and something per student. That's per student per day to transport them back and forth to school. So where is all the money going to? What happened to the money? What's the man name? He came down here and did this big thing. Said he gave them 90, almost $100 million, and for them to come and say, "Well, we don't have it. We can't afford it." You cannot afford not to invest. And that's why I think that as pastors, as community, whether if you in the church or you're not in the church, as a community of people, if we don't stop if we continue to allow them to do what they're doing, then we would never have a voice. The march that Martin Luther King went down, the sacrifices that all of our ancestors have made would have been in vain. It wasn't just that we would just have freedom in America. It's freedom in the job, freedom having peace in our home, having the same equality as others receive, as that is in a different culture.
And can I say this too? A lot of people probably wouldn't know, but on our second day of our stand, we had a lot of people who did not come again because they were getting phone calls and text messages from people saying that if they didn't come to work, then they could possibly be fired. And those phone calls were coming from people who were supposed to be representing the union members, which were the union. So they were trying to take people away from the calls, threatening them with phone calls of what could possibly happen while they were down there negotiating on our behalf, but didn't even talk to us. So it's more than just the border. It's politics all around. And if you're supposed to be a union representative, why are you instead of fighting for us, you calling people, you texting people, telling them about the incentives, or they trying to pay you $50 an hour overtime to get on the bus. You're doing that to take the people away from the initial cause, which is something that can better our future, by offering them something that can better their pockets if they get it. Because with the board of education, they can tell you anything, but will they do it?
Yep. Yep. Well, we got to find solutions to some of these problems, and some of them are simple. You need to bring in some troubleshooters and get it done. Like I said, with the pay, that's a first grader thing. With the safety, we want everybody to be safe because you're no good to the system. You're no good to the children if you're dead. And there's too many bus drivers and monitors being stricken by this COVID,
Teachers
and
is
something needs to be done about that.
several teachers passed away already.
Yeah, teachers as well. Yeah,
Several teachers also, you said?
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's one of the things that I wanted to say, because again, Mr. Joe Buck, and his name is appropriate because the buck should stop there. Because basically, when they were talking about all the mitigation factors, he said very fervently with a bunch of his face was red. So he was really excited. And he said, none of that mitigation that y'all got will do any good if everybody isn't vaccinated. Well, my thing is, where was your fervor and commitment before y'all brought all these kids back at the same time?
Exactly.
Where was your fervor and commitment when you got rid of social distancing in the school, social distancing on the bus with a variant that is more contagious? Why didn't you go to a cohort A and a cohort B, which would lessen the amount of kids in the school at the same time on the less days, and give you a day to do deep cleaning in all of the areas that the kids sit in with a more contagious variant? And so don't get on your high horse and talk about all of this righteous indignation, but then fail the community. If you know that, your responsibility then is to create a system that will protect the greater amount of people given the situation that's presented to you. You can't sit on the board and be ineffective. You can't be on the board and be callous. You can't be on the board and be disconnected. And you can't be on the board and not touch the people. Why, in all of these years that you've been sitting in office, have you not done a town hall meeting with your drivers? You got an issue that's at the very crux of your organization that you can't keep staff, and you spending dollars trying to recruit, but you can't fix what's already there. So how are you mounting a recruiting effort and you can't keep the people that you got in-house on?
Yeah, and
you're being fiscally irresponsible.
You make a great points, because the person that you should be trying to please is the people at the bottom. You're paying the ones at the top to do their damn job. You're paying them enough. You don't have to smile at them. You don't have to talk to them. You have to do nothing. They got a job to do. You're getting paid $100,000 a year more. Do your job. These people at the lower level pay scale, those are the people that you should be catering to, smiling at, talking to, meeting with, because that's how you get your whole company to function. Don't worry about those people at the top. They're paid to do a darn job on a level that's, and I know they're going to say, well, they went to school and they got the education and this is the field, but you got to change things if you want to make things right.
We got
here's a great analogy. It's like this. We talk about frontline first responders all the time. And those are frontline workers. If your frontline workers aren't there, your operation shuts down.
That's correct. What you say, Lita?
I say we have degrees too. I got 2 degrees. I mean, I can probably do their jobs too, but I love doing what I do. I love driving my kids, and I just got a good rapport with my children, so that's what I choose to do. But I probably can sit on the board because I got 2 degrees. They're right for what they do.
And to that point, y'all, it's really not the board. What the board should do is ask the superintendent to either do some research or have whatever supervisor overseeing transportation to get a better understanding of what's going on and what needs to be shifted. That's the gap, is that whoever is overseeing that area doesn't understand what they're overseeing.
Well, let me tell you this to your exact comment just then. I'm gonna tell you what I've heard, and this is coming from directors in transportation. They're frustrated because they go into meetings with the school board, with Dr. Levette, with Ms. Kegler, and they offer suggestions that will be beneficial for transportation, but those ideas are shot down. And so at this point, all the people with transportation experience giving you ideas that you're shooting down, their response to me is, why am I going to waste my time trying to come up with proposals, trying to do this and try to do that just to be shut down? So I let them do what they do. And when they bump their head, they'll come back to us and then we'll go ahead and do what we got to do. So again, you're being fiscally irresponsible. You're making all of these unnecessary mistakes and choices that could have been avoided. But the thing that the community needs to know, every time the board makes a wrong decision, it's costing dollars. It's costing lives.
Yeah.
And right now what the board is doing is they're saying, look at us. We still got the kids home. Oh, now we got a whole set of people that we can go to and we can go ahead and we can get them qualified to drive these buses and then they can drive the buses and everything is all good. So you mean to tell me that your answer to the issues that we're going through is quantity over quality? Parents should be appalled at that. Your idea is to negate the experienced drivers that know what they're doing in favor of, watch this now, they're currently cooking up plans to get rid of those of us that stood. The writing is on the wall.
The board should not be involved. That's board overreach. The board should only be involved with making sure the train stays on track, not if we got a conductor.
Well, they failed. They failed because this train been off track. Yeah, this train been off track. This train been off track.
If it's an in-house operation, whoever's supervising that area needs to step up to the plate and supervise. I mean, and it's up to the superintendent to tell the board to back down because the board, that's overreach.
No. I don't think really. I really don't think it's the board. Where the board, I feel where the board is failing, and also where operations is failing, is that everybody is relying on second person information. We said this is going to be done, so because I said it's going to be done, it's going to be done. But I was always taught that if you don't inspect what you expect, then you can't be. You're accountable for the outcomes. You don't have a grasp on the reality of the situation that you're in. Okay, so what I feel like is at Bull Street, at Ms. Dr. Levette's level and Ms. Kegler level, there's a lot of things that's supposed to be going on. And I've sat in several meetings with Ramon Ray, and he was like, hey, we got this going on and we got this going on, just to find out, wait a minute, it's not being done.
It's not.
Okay. Oh, well, you mean you guys aren't getting that? No, we're not. That hasn't taken place in years. And so my thing is, it's a failure on both. Okay, so at the operation level, if you don't, Miss Dr. Levette publicly makes over $300,000 a year. For you not to know if something is going on and have to get back to me, that's unacceptable.
Well, to her credit, I'm saying, and at the superintendent's level, it's overseeing multiple operations, right? So in that regard, she's got a lieutenant that should have the pulse of that. And when she asks that lieutenant what is going on with transportation, that person needs to have an answer. It sounds like that whoever that individual is, they do not understand what's going on in that particular area.
Okay, so my question.
Hold on. If I'm supervising an area, this is how I lead. I need to know all of the main issues going on. I need to know, why do we have a shortage? What's the morale of our staff? How do we make sure that we have the logistics ready to get these kids started there? If that person can't answer those questions, they need to know.
And that's what I was about to ask you.
Well, that's what she got.
That's what I was about to ask you. With all of this stuff while all of this stuff is going on, why are the only heads that's rolling the bus drivers?
Well, it's called being a scapegoat. Y'all are a scapegoat. It's easy. It's easy to get. It's like Julia said earlier. When you're a frontline worker and you're not at the table, you become the person who's on the menu.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, I think it's
because at the end of the day, what it means is they're not valuing y'all as professionals, which is so terrible. Because at the end of the day, as we said earlier, if you don't want to value your frontline workers, then guess what? When those kids, if they get to school, uh, it's the hall's going to have to be full of trash. How do you encourage student learning when the kid can't even get there, when they don't eat properly, when the facilities are clean? So if you're not going to value the frontline workers, then hey,
And I will say, but when you step across that line and you show the kind of angst that you did against the drivers that Mr. Joe Buck did in that meeting, in that informal meeting, and saying that, pretty much I'm not listening to you guys because the kids are not on those buses. Since we're talking about education, let's talk about cause and effect. You cannot completely deal with the effect of something without first dealing with the cause of something. Because guess what? You can deal with the effect, but if the cause is still there, that's going to be a different effect. And you get rid of that effect, that's going to be another effect because the cause has never been dealt with. So, Mr. Joe Buck, the cause is because nobody has opened up their ears to listen to the transportation employees. The effect is what you saw on Friday and Tuesday. That's not a badge of honor on our part. That's a crying out to the community to help us. That's a crying out to the community saying that we care so much about not only ourselves, not only our co-workers, but the community that we were willing to sacrifice and stand. And so let's deal with
need them to stand up. We
cause.
need them to help us with it. We need the community to help us with it.
We do.
Because they're not listening to us. So we need the community to help us open up their ears. Instead of being upset with us, help them hear us.
Okay, so we got about 10 minutes left on this segment. And then we got another segment that we'll be on. But where do we go from here? That's the question.
Say it again.
Did y'all hear me?
Yeah, I think that I think us drivers and monitors, we need to get some legal people involved with this because I think there's some things that they're hiding and they're not telling us the truth about it, and we don't know because we work in there, but we don't know the inside. Majority of it is lying, so you got to get somebody with some better knowledge to bring it out because, like, I think they got us listed like with the retirement, they got us under something, and I think we are state workers because everything is state government funded, the state workers, and they say that we're not state workers, and I think we are state workers because back when the board had it before, I mean, I'm an 18 years old veteran driver, and before they came in, I came in as lay law, and they was leaving out. They gave all those drivers their money, and they was buying houses and cars off their retirement money, and with the board of 401k and stuff like that, they gave all their money to them. And then after the other people came in, you couldn't get retirement because they didn't know how long they was going to last because they was contracted. And so the board made so much money off of that. And like Envy was probably the best one they ever had. And they did those Envy people so wrong. I guess their lawyers wasn't equipped with these lawyer was the board lawyer was. So I think that's where it lies, and we just got messed up in the process.
Yeah, I think one thing as we shift gears, I think a good suggestion, if you all have not already done this, is to pull the HR employee manual and understand policies, because what you said is very important. Are you all identified as state employees, county employees, city employees? Where does that fall? And then what does policy say about some of the things that you all are sharing today? That will drive everything going forward, because you can hold people to the fire when it comes to policy, but if it's not a policy, then they can do exactly, if it is true, kind of keep you in the dark on some things.
That's great. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we want to thank our viewers out there with all your comments. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you sharing the feed so that the whole because this is a matter of the court of public opinion. And and just like one of y'all said a minute ago, you need the public to rally behind you to get people to understand, and that's mostly what it's all about. When people don't listen to you, you have to make them listen. And we're gonna stick with y'all to find out where y'all go at from here, whether we can get something resolved. The only issue I think that y'all have a problem with is the retirement issue. But I think that they can also resolve that if they had the goodwill to think that if they can give money to something that don't some department or something that don't really need the money, why can't they put? I mean, in good faith, they get you got the CARES Act money, you got the PPP or whatever money that is the feds are giving. Take and say, okay, you got to have forward thinking people to want to do this here, and you got to have people that care and have a heart to say, okay, let's take this money and put this for our drivers that have over 20 years. We're putting this much into their retirement. Drivers that have been here for 15 years, you're putting this much in their retirement. Got drivers that have been here for 10 years, you're putting this much into their retirement. It's something that can be done. And if that was legal and they could do it, because I'm sure it is, because they can give all the money that they want to give to all these other entities and private schools and everything else, then they ought to be able to do this also. It just takes people that care, and y'all are our frontline workers, and they're not looking at it like that, and they have to be made to look at it like that. But anyhow, anybody else got anything before we move on to our next guest?
I just want to say this for the community to pay attention, because some of the faces that you see on this screen may not be employees after a while, because they're coming. We can see it. It's in the atmosphere at Savannah-Chatham County Public School System. But I want the community to know that it's crazy and egregious to deal with somebody that's standing for basic freedoms and rights, and you could come up with a plan in a short time to deal with that. But you've been given 5 years and you can't come up with one thing to deal with the major issue that's causing you staffing issues. That's egregious.
Anybody else?
No, I think we pretty much hit everything on the head.
Okay. Well, y'all are free to come back here if the issue isn't resolved in a couple of weeks. I'm sure Robert, we got other shows that we can have you on also, because I know we got a bunch of political candidates, but we can also stretch the show after those candidates come on. We can have y'all on after them. So, but because we want to get these issues resolved for you, because this is what it's all about. We need to report fairly. We need to have the whole community know what's happening, and have them engaged and involved. So Kendrick, all y'all know how to get in touch with me.
Yes, sir.
Let's make it do what it do with. Hope y'all negotiations go well, and we'll just move forward from there. Whenever you all tell us what that y'all have an issue that y'all need to bring to the public's attention.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We appreciate having y'all.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
All right, switching gears.
You got one more that's still in there. Okay.
Okay.
And there is Carrie.
Hey there.
Hello, how are you?
All
Hey.
well.
What's going on?
Well, thank you for letting me join. I was just thinking about the breakdown of what you guys were just talking about, that I think it comes back to these companies contract out their labor, their human resources through another company, and those companies want to get the best people in there, but at the same time, they don't think about the practicality about people working multiple jobs, and they're taking some of their wage away from them to pay for that consulting agency that's staffing them, and they're not really thinking about, hey, I could get some rideshare drivers and have them work part-time, or get other coaches that have a CDL to do this. But I just don't think that they think with that mindset because they're so corporate, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And you have to listen to people to hear what their problems and issues are. Then you sit back and you try to resolve that, because do you need them? That's your first thing. If somebody came to me with a problem in my company, then I'm gonna see, do I need them? And if they have an issue, then I need to see how I can fix it. And that's my responsibility if I want my company to thrive. If I don't want any issues in it, that's good governing. That's good business sense. You know, good business practices. But you know, I'm hoping that, you know, you got some smart people there. Vanessa and Kayla is extremely intelligent. Dr. Levette, extremely intelligent. What we have to do is stop worrying about what other people think and do what you need to do for these people and get it right. And that's
maybe
just my
time to get rid of first student and just go directly back to hiring bus drivers and coming up with a system, because it seems like there's always been inherently a problem with this company, and I think that maybe there's, you know, but just looks like there needs to be another option. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see the answer. So
yeah. Well, it needs to be fixed, and we'll be paying close attention to it. And here on this platform, we're always going to bring you what we see. We're not going to cut it. We're not going to add any chaser to it. We're going to give it to you raw, like Robert drink it. No, Robert, like
look.
Oh,
I'm not like your rank. I'm not like your.
Okay. But anyway, we're getting to the big issue. Robert, you had a bunch of questions for me and Carrie.
Well, yeah. So let's start with this one, and let me give the viewers a preface. So if you've been following the news, Julius has announced his candidacy for mayor, and it was contested or challenged based on 8 years versus 10 years or what have you. So if you haven't seen it, pull it up. But my first question to you all is, do you think the right decision was made? And that's a vague question. Take it and run with it.
I'm going to let Carrie go first. Carrie?
Uh-oh.
She might have went into a dead zone. You muted. You're muted. That's why I told you I like people on the computer, because when you're traveling, you're gonna hit dead zones. Well, anyway, I'll answer, and I don't believe that the right decision was made. I know that the wrong decision was made, and you know, I knew that I couldn't get a fair hearing from someone that has to decide an issue, and they work for the guy that I'm running against. You know, the hearing officer works. She's a city clerk also, and she works for the mayor. Mm-hmm. So she's not going to rule against her mayor. You know, that's her job, I guess. You know. So that's part of the what we thought was very unfair. Besides the petitioner, which was an old fart named Jody Hawks, and instead of him bringing his lawyer and doing what he needs to do, the city attorney took up that role as his legal counsel, and went to asking inappropriate questions that didn't have anything to do with the issue at hand. So no, I don't think that we got a fair shake from this hearing.
So it goes to, or you have the option to go to Superior Court.
Superior Court out yesterday.
Okay, so how long does that process take, and what goes on in that process, I guess?
Well, I don't know a time frame for it. I think it's an emergency injunction. I think my name will stay on the ballot.
Okay.
No matter what the hearing officer asks, you have to leave the person on the ballot pending their appeal. And if I'm later qualified, then it won't matter. If I'm later disqualified, then it won't matter. If the court says that the hearing officer was correct, then it won't matter how many votes I have. The other person would still be the mayor. So, but you leave the person on so that in case the ruling was in error, then they would have a process that won't need fixing.
Right. Well,
because if I'm not on the ballot and then I win in court, they can't fix it.
Right.
Well,
to me, in my personal opinion, it's all silly anyway. At the end of the day, that process, that chapter of life is closed. And people love to judge. This is one thing we do as human beings. We do well at judging people, but not well at minding our damn business. And so that chapter of your life is closed. You're trying to serve people. It's not like you're going into some dream job making $1 million a year or on the salary of Jeff Bezos. You're giving your time, taking away time from your family and your life to go serve people, but still that's frowned upon. And you're doing the right thing, but it's frowned upon because of a silly policy. And that's just my thoughts. What do you think about that?
Well, it is. The Constitution is kind of cloudy. It needs to be cleared up because on one hand, they brought this here challenge because of a one word, and that one word was "and." They want me to have my restoration of rights and 10 years home. And then they're trying to throw something else in it. They don't even want me to run after I've been home 10 years. They want me to run 10 years after the end of my probation. So they want that. They've been saying that lately now. So they're not going to be pleased with anything. So what we need to do is have the legislature or the courts figure out whether, make simple, whether my restoration of rights gives me immediate relief from my disabilities. The disability is being that I was not able to serve on a jury. I was not able to be a notary. I was not able to run and hold office. So all these things have to play out in the court so that the lawmakers can see that there's a problem and fix it. Rebecca said that write-in regardless. You can't do a write-in in Georgia unless you do it within the first 7 days after qualifying. And then the person that you're writing in must be qualified, or they have to go qualify, or you have to qualify them. That's the only way that you can do a write-in. We've looked it up because this mayor couldn't beat nobody. He's broken all the promises.
Honestly, and I'm gonna start here with this. Our criminal justice system is not about anything other than capitalism, and that's it. It's about making money and power and controlling people's lives. And we've got to do a better job of holding lawmakers accountable for changing the system. We do the same things in our homes, lives, and policy making that we did 200 years ago. It was purposeful then. We're in a different time now. We got to think differently. And it leads to the next thing you said in that, what was it? Oh, the write-in piece. Why can't we write in candidates? What if there is a better candidate out here that couldn't qualify because of the money? right? So I want to write this person in. They've rallied. They've gotten enough people to write them in. So the laws are here to benefit certain groups of people. And if
Correct.
we don't get up and start putting people in place to help us change this stuff, we'll be still sitting here in slavery and segregation in a different form.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Like I said, it's 7 days after qualifying closes. The person that wants to be the write-in, you have to qualify them as the write-in right then within that 7 day period after closing of regular qualifying. Either you have to qualify. If I wanted you to be that person, I have to go and qualify you, or either you have to go and qualify you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can have the write-in. Other than that, it's too late for that. And they knew it. They knew what they were doing. They kind of like outmaneuvered me a little bit because I had a plan for this. After I realized what they were going to do, I had a plan for it, but I was a day late on trying to get that plan in.
But Rebecca wrote here, qualified or not, it'll show the public gave a mandate. The mandate is get out there and vote and get rid of people who don't understand the will of progress and the will of the citizens. I'm so sick and tired of seeing these politicians go into office just to maintain the status quo, just to sell our souls down the river and not do anything different or have the courage to stand upon things that's going to change for the better. There's
one other option, but I'll talk to you about that later. But I need to remember that there is one other option, and we're going to explore that after January 2nd. We'll see if they somehow is able to keep me out. Then we'll explore the other option after that, and that should be relatively easy to do. And we'll see what happens with that.
But you know, it's so interesting. I just thought about this. They can take away your rights for certain things, but guess what? They still gonna make you pay those taxes.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. It's funny to me. Says I don't have any rights, then take away that one as well. So I'm exempt from taxes. I'm exempt. If I can't participate in the process, then don't make me pay into the process.
Exactly. That's right. I'm supporting something that I can't be a part of. I'm paying my taxes in this. Then say I can't pay no tax. I should. That's a great point. It's forward thinking like that makes this world a better place. It's forward thinking like that. People thinking outside of the box of believing that there is no box. Just thinking forward. In the future. But it's a lot. I knew that the scrutiny would come. I don't run from anything. I see everything that's going on around me, and I already knew that this would happen. This is Carrie calling in.
Okay,
Carrie.
Hey, sorry about that.
Yeah, your thing is not going to work. It keeps freezing up. So you can be on the phone and answer a couple of questions, but I want you to drive safe now.
Right.
Oh, I am. I'm driving safe. I promise.
Okay. Yeah. So, you got any questions for Carrie, Robert?
Let's go back to the first one, to kind of giving her feedback on, does she think it was the right call that they made?
I do not think it was the correct call. What I think is the issue is, first of all, I think this is premeditated and purely political. And I do feel as though, and from the research that I've done, I do feel as though the Board of Elections, being the contractor that is in charge of the county, right? So I feel as though because they contract out with them and she didn't have her certification, that this was a move for the attorney to get in there and decide to put his interests first instead of being fair according to his legal training as a constitutional officer. And where I'm going with this is he served both as the plaintiff attorney and also the judge. And in a proceeding, in a hearing as far as this goes,
he is only supposed to serve as the entity to serve, the constitutional entity to answer questions to the election superintendent. Now, being that she didn't have her training and she didn't send a waiver into the state board, it really should have, it should have reverted to the Superior Court to have a proper hearing. Because if you look at Mahoney was a constitutional officer as an attorney. You had 4 members besides him who were like the questioning body and the determining body. And in that case, the county attorney served as the plaintiff attorney. And it was proper that both the plaintiff and defendant in a hearing, being in that case, Riley and the board, both were able to subpoena and bring in witnesses. In this case, they were not properly told what the process was. I don't think it was fair. I think in this case, from my personal opinion and training, I will also say that, I have a show and it's through WRUU, it's a 501c3. So I had to invite both Hawks and Hall to the show. If I'm going to invite one, I have to invite both. Well, after researching, I found out that Mr. Hawks had already made up his mind about Mr. Hall. It was not a case where he did research for a fact-finding mission. It was research geared towards making him look bad. And in this case, he really went out of his way to also make sure that the public knew on his personal page what his premeditated determination of Mr. Hall's character was. So when I take all of that into consideration and the fact that none of the paperwork was submitted to Julius on what was submitted, that was official. And the fact that he wasn't notified, but 2 days before the hearing, that the hearing was going to be on that Friday, and what the issues were going to be presented to last minute. I don't think that they've had proper training to even hold the hearing. So in that case, being that they contract out with the Board of Election, and according to law in a municipal case, if they don't have a background in election law, that being the Wentworth attorney, it should have went to Superior Court, who would have served as the election superintendent by way of that direction coming from Secretary of State and the State Board of Election. So to answer your question, I don't think any of this process was fair. And in fact, I don't feel as though Mr. Hall was able to be treated fairly in the proceeding as being a member, being one of his witnesses. I felt as if the attorney was unfair as well. And that's why I questioned him whether he was, when even I was being questioned, whether he was working as the attorney for Mr. Hawks or he was the attorney for the election superintendent. So I don't think he was treated fairly from point A to point B. They already had their mind made up. All of this was premeditated and all the steps had been planned way in advance, and they have interest to protect. So
that's correct.
That would, be my answer to you.
All right, Robert.
Yeah. So what next? I know we were talking about Superior Court a moment ago, and how that process looked. So with that involved, do you have to get an attorney? Like, how convoluted does this get?
Well,
sorry.
I have to. I filed pro se on my own on Friday. I filed an injunction to have to keep my name on the ballot.
Okay.
Because we were going to a soft deadline of Friday. I don't know. The hard deadline is next Friday, I believe. So
yes,
we
10
should.
days, yes.
So we'll have a hearing in Superior Court in the next 10 days, I would assume, because it's an emergency injunction. And we'll be submitting our briefs on our arguments for why I should remain on the ballot and why I should be allowed to run. So we'll be working on that all weekend, trying to get that right and submit that this week. As far as an attorney, I don't. I know that I had an attorney, but it became a conflict because of boards that he served on. So he cannot represent me as he represented me in the hearing. So I do need legal counsel. So I'll be reaching out to some of my associates that are lawyers that I would probably be trying to get to come help me with this. So we'll see about that on Monday. You know, all these things cost. I put all the money that I've raised and had into this campaign to try to make Port Wentworth a better place. So it's going to be a little journey over the next couple of days. We'll find out where we go at from here. You had something you want to say on it, Carrie?
Yes, sir. I want to interject and say that I do feel is what makes this case particularly interesting is the public statements made by Mr. Jody Hawks on his page. I noticed earlier last Saturday, and then in response to me just asking him if he would come on my radio show to answer the same questions I asked you when you came on the show, I noticed that he had made a couple of public posts threatening to come after Mr. Hall in the same way, coming after you, Julius, in the same way that he had come after someone else that he said that he helped get disqualified previously. And he made public statements about me as well, just even asking if he would be able to come on the show. And I have to be impartial when I'm questioning. So he took offense for me even being your witness, and I think that he feels very hurt. But you can definitely tell that he has a particular vendetta against Julius Hall. And what makes this even more interesting is that this is not just a case of researching and seeing if someone is eligible. This is someone who just doesn't even want Julius's name on the ballot, that doesn't have an understanding of constitutional law or state law or even a local ordinance, meaning that he feels a certain way, but he doesn't know the law, so he goes and finds it in a way that will come after not just Paul's eligibility, but his character as well. So there's other caveats going on. More, he doesn't feel that anyone with a past of a felony is able to run for office, and it doesn't matter particularly how he feels. We live in a country that is forgiving and, allows people to come back out of confinement and be able to have their limbs back and be able to be protected by the same liberties that they violate to get into confinement. So it doesn't matter how he feels. The public may not share and doesn't share the same, they don't share the same thoughts as Mr. Hawks. I don't, and other people don't. It's just not fair. He's not acting in a fair manner. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you got it.
Oh, I thought you had a list that you had.
No.
Well, we have that before the judge now, and well, before whatever judge that they're going to appoint to it is before the court. So we'll be waiting on them to tell us what date that hearing will be. I don't know who will be there, but we'll see. That was probably some. Not only are they scared, but let's come to the joke.
Well, it goes back to, we talk about this often. It's the threatening of their power being taken away, and
Right.
so how long has he been mayor?
Just 4 years.
Okay, so okay, but still, I mean, it's this idea of, oh no, I'm the mayor. Surely this guy's not going to come and beat me, and he feels threatened, and so because he feels threatened, the only way he can get you out of the way is through shenanigans.
Right. That's the only way that they can. They know that they can't win, period. And what I told them was that, and what really scared them, I guess I shouldn't have said it, was that I was going to do a forensic audit. I guess that word just it just scared the hell out of them. A forensic audit when they probably stealing all the money. And then, two things they did. And they don't want me to do a forensic audit because once I do, everybody got to go. Once I do the forensic audit, everybody got to go because I have right here was that I was going to do a forensic audit. I got that word it just scared the hell out of the forensic audit when they. How did that happen? And then. Oh, okay. But can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I got this right here. I got an envelope somebody gave me. I gave it to the news media yesterday when they came to interview me. In this envelope is evidence that the news media has and the DA has that should have locked, and Meg Heap had when she was the DA. But these people were working on her campaign at that time. So she did nothing about it. That's why I say when we had that conversation about whether Democrats are a weak back, Republicans do what the hell they want to do. Democrats don't fight back the same way. But in this envelope, there's evidence of the city the city council not approving wasn't given a chance to approve a contract for $110,000 to an interim city manager. $110,000 contract for a part-time job working 3 days a week. You can't even get that in Atlanta.
No.
You can't get that in Savannah.
You can't get that in the federal government.
But you could get it at Fort Wentworth. Then he had 28 days paid leave. I got the damn contract right here. Woo. The contract is right here. This is malfeasance of office. This is a crime. The city council did not vote on it. The mayor pro tem, and the crooked lawyer did. They put it together and they gave it to this guy, a friend of theirs, $110,000 contract.
What was that? It was a post where something about tourism, and the guy was friends with somebody, was going to tell on somebody, and they gave him all this money for tourism. What?
That's the second thing. This first one went to Meg Heap, and she did nothing about it. And
nepotism at its finest.
And then now it's at the present DA, Shalana Cook-Jones, but her office is so backed up with what Meg had created that they haven't had time to get to it. But I think that they should put it at the top of their list because it's public corruption. They should not have been able to get away with this. And we can't let the statute of limitations go before they are charged with this. The second thing is they just gave a $500,000 contract to the guy that brought the challenge against me. A $500,000 contract to this group that he form. He tried to take his name. Listen, the cover up, the GBI really should be investigating this here. Serious. He tried to take his name off and then let somebody else get in it so that he can come and attack me while they put the bid in for the contract. And so they got the contract the other day and they were the least qualified. They don't even have a building to operate out of. They operated out of their home, a chamber of commerce for the second fastest growing city in the state of Georgia is being operated out of somebody's damn house. And it's illegal for them to operate that business from according to the HOA rules. So they don't even have no place to operate the business out of. And it was a bunch of people, if you saw them, you say, y'all finna let them run your chamber of commerce? This thing is crazy, man. These people do what they want to do here and they get away with it.
When the system works,
yeah, it's criminal. That should be another investigation because they voted to give him the contract. They voted to give him the contract, and he's gonna say it ain't him, it's his people. His name's still all over it. He started it. You know damn well he ain't gonna start something and just give it away to somebody. It's plain as day. He can't convince no jury in the world that he's not a part of this. His name all over it. He got out the way so he can attack me. They got the contract, $500,000. He brought the challenge. Here we are. The FBI, the GBI, this should be a clear-cut case, and we just need to push it a little harder. And that's one of the things I said that I was going to do once I got in office, that we were going to terminate this contract, and I still am if I get in office. So they better do every damn thing they can to keep me out, because I will terminate that contract. I will ask for all the money back if they have it by then, and threaten prosecution if they try to hold on to it, because it was not done properly. You had a business that was there for 12 years, have a building, running the Chamber of Commerce, but they got mad at those people because they were too close with the blacks that were on city council. It cuts into race all the way. They keep, every time you bring up race, they want to call you the racist. But if they look on
their white privilege.
Yeah, exactly. They don't like nobody to check their white privilege, and you're absolutely correct, Carrie. But this is criminal all the way. They were meeting after city council meetings in the parking lot. These same people, the same guy meeting with the mayor and them, and they got the contract. Yo, don't do that.
Well, hey.
Then he want to say that because I ain't even gonna give him no air to what he's airing on this. He had some stupid mess the other day because an official told me to keep my head up. That was inappropriate. That official shouldn't have. But they stealing $500,000 at a time. But that's appropriate. Really, these people kill. Yeah, it's it's something we're gonna fight. If I don't, if I'm not victorious, we'll know who the judge is sometime this week, and then we'll be filing our motions. If I'm not, we still will be the majority in City Hall because they can't win a seat. They can't win no seats. The people don't even want to talk to them. The people don't want to see them. The people not inviting them to functions or nothing. I've been invited to everything. I'm supposed to be. I got something to go speak at on the 16th. I got something that I have to go. I'm the keynote speaker at on the 25th at the Promised Land, with a big carnival that they have there every year. So. The people don't want to talk to them. They saw that they couldn't get in, so they started coming back out trying to talk to the people. and the people realize, where were you for the last 4 years? You know,
Okay.
we just was on the corner.
And it's an extreme disservice for the public because the public don't get to really know what's going on underneath the surface until the candidates are challenged. And, and that's the biggest issue here is that the voters are suffering from, not getting the services that they needed while there's $500,000 being spent on one construction company, and who knows how they're actually spending the money and whether they're actually getting the work done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's shady. It's a lot of stuff that's going on that we have to change in this city, and it's gonna get changed whether I'm the mayor or not. They just don't understand it, that they can't win none of the seats, so they're gonna lose power anyway. If I was the mayor, I wouldn't even want to be the mayor because the people don't want you there. The people don't want you there. You want you there, but the people don't want you there. So why would you want to be there? And then the people will show you that you're, even if you are the mayor, that you will not win none of the other seats. So you won't be able to effectively govern.
That's it.
Yeah. So.
I want to say one more thing, and I'll let you guys go unless you have any more questions. But the biggest thing here, Julius, is that you have said yourself that you are the magazine cover for someone who is been rehabilitated, and they're doing a disservice by showing or trying to prove that if you've been convicted of a felony, that you should be hated for the rest of your life. Well, that's not really how reality is, or what America's principles are based upon. We are a forgiving country, and you're supposed to be able to be rehabilitated, come back out, and then be inspiration. You are the poster child for the reasons why we need to put in harmony the legislation to give people that right and to take away these stupid and de facto and de jure racist policies that have traditionally hurt more men of color from being able to run for office equally, to have their fair share than their white counterparts. And I'm half white, I'm half Cherokee. I will put it out there that it's not right, and people know it's not right, and we have to come together to support one another to get through what has been put in the past to keep people from having their full rights, full liberties. And it's not right, and they're doing a larger disservice than trying to help change policy. But, this is just an example how you can be a pioneer to help us change this policy and go forward to challenge these stupid laws.
And it's funny you mentioned that. We just kind of talked about it briefly, but the criminal justice system is more about capitalism than it is about rehabilitation, which is crazy to me. And I say this on pretty much every show. We have become a nation, and Warnock said it, we warehouse more individuals than any other country on this planet. And so why are we still placing people in jails on the backs of the taxpayers for silly stuff, right? So my thing is, we need to get to a place where it makes sense. The only time you need to put somebody in incarceration is if it's a violent crime. That's it. Other than that, why are we not rehabilitating people to do things better, to be contributors to society instead of being burdens to society? Because once you do that, once you put them behind bars, now we have another issue. But I understand why the Republicans want to do it. They want to make it a cash cow.
Correct.
Right? So they're making money off of these crazy laws. We've got to do things different.
Yeah, we do. Leonard, we talked about this issue earlier. Leonard had, if you're disqualified, can you still be a write-in? No, they have changed the laws for write-in. Everybody always heard of it. You can write in, and you see other states where they elected a pet. Somebody elected their dog one time in New Hampshire as the mayor. But you can't do the write-in like that anymore. So what they did was you have to qualify to be a write-in. We talked about it a few minutes ago, but you have to qualify to be a write-in. After regular qualifying closes, and those people who have qualified are on it, you have 7 days per the state of Georgia. You have 7 days to qualify somebody. So if I wanted to qualify, I think Robert will make a good mayor in Port Warren. He lived here. I can qualify Robert. He doesn't have to be there, or he can go and qualify himself. But you got 7 days after the first qualifying period closes, and that's it. They stopped write-in candidates. They put it on the ballot when you go vote because that slot got to be there in case there is a qualified write-in candidate. But you can't no more in the state of Georgia unless you meet those requirements.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I think this falls back to our need to dismantle these de facto policies. In the time that you went through your arrest and hearing and were convicted, well, let's also note that even the conservative government has acknowledged, even the 45th presidency, that during that time that there was the war on drugs. And I forget the name of the policy, but I think it's the second chance policy.
Right.
But men of color got longer and stricter and more sentences added on to their what do you call it? What you're convicted.
Their time. Right.
Exactly. And you said to me, Julius, you were rehabilitated within 4 days, but you spent another 22 years of a 25-year life sentence. I wonder how long the white counterparts that might have been arrested for the same thing did maybe 10 to 15 years and got out. They were harsher, more draconian when it came to black men than white, and that was even acknowledged under the 45th presidency, under the Second Chance Act. And I think that we've got to really break down the historical implications of what happened in the past, that, today, what you were arrested for, with all the knowledge that we have, with all the black market drugs that are sold and how it's proportionally hurt black communities in comparison to white communities, we don't even have the same basis or think of it the same way. Yeah. Even the Board of Pardons and Appeals says there's a general felony, which
Carrie.
Crime and yes.
I only got 1 minute.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because I can't go over 2 hours. I can't go, and the bus drivers took up a lot of time.
Okay, well, thank you. But basically, what it boils down to, we need to redo the law. So.
That's right. And Ivan Cohen says something I'm going to throw up here real quick. The Chatham delegation needs to take this with them to Atlanta and work on their colleagues to change outdated laws. They do. It's a lot of things in the Constitution that needs to be changed. Right. Chuck, we ain't going to have time for a call, Chuck, because I'm at 150. I'm at 158. I cannot go over 2 hours because I couldn't replay it. So all shows got to stop at 2 hours, or you can't do a automatic replay. This is new.
This might need to be a topic for Wednesday. I think it's a good piece to continue. Because it ties into a lot of things.
All right. So
thanks for your time, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend.
Okay. I'll call you after a while, Carrie. And Rob, I'll see you. Thank y'all for joining us.
Yes.
And, we'll be here next Saturday. We'll be y'all tune in to Dr. Reverend Leonard Smalls at 6 p.m. tonight on Unity Action Political Committee, and see what he has in store for tonight. All right.
Yes, sir.
And y'all can watch replays of all these shows. If y'all tune in, we'll be replaying them all. All right. Talk with y'all later.
Take care.